Welcome to the Fitness Plus Technology Podcast for club owners, operators, and fitness professionals. Each week, host Bryan O'Rourke brings you an expert interview with a global influencer at the crossroads of fitness and technology. You gain the insights, tools, and inspiration you need to stay connected to the pulse for what matters most for your business in the age of exponential technologies.
Listeners, and thanks for joining me. I'm your host, Bryan O'Rourke. In this pod, we have a great recap of the panel that we had hosted by, of course, our friend Hans Muench, our dear friend, who spent time with myself, Magdalena, Henrik, and Hugo Braam. There'll be links in the show notes. We had a great conversation about next generation fitness, innovation, insights, and industry disruption. My thanks go to so many people that were there and showed up for the conversation. We recorded about 90% of it. You'll notice the very beginning we had a little technical problem, but 90% of the panel was recorded. I think there were some exceptional insights. I hope you find that of value. And in general, as always, the European Health and Fitness Forum this year released their Deloitte report, which is always of tremendous value. We'll share a little recap on our thoughts on that in the coming weeks. And FIBO itself, which is always such a well-attended event. There's never enough time. I want to thank everyone that stopped by to say hello and for all the FaceTime we spent together with all of our colleagues from around the world. It is awesome to see you all. So without further ado, let's welcome the panel to the podcast, and I hope you enjoy it. Thanks.
And who's now the coach? It's a younger guy. It's a player, an old player, who's really can put himself in the mindset of the players, can motivate them. So he's there for the team spirit to keep everybody. So I think something similar is going to happen in the fitness industry, driven by AI. And yeah, we're taking our first steps. Like 2 years ago, we launched our first AI coach for consumers, and we've been optimizing that over the last 2 years to really make sure that the quality was good. And here at FIBO, we just launched the AI workout builder for trainers, and it's just amazing. You can just within a minute, I can create a 3-day plan, taking into account the knee injury of the customer, all their personal data, their age, their fitness level, what type of equipment I wanted to use, and it produces a plan within 30 seconds. So what that will do is that personalized coaching is no longer going to be an exclusive service, because anybody is able to pay, let's say, $20 per month to get a personalized plan every month and do their training. So that's I think great. Then gamification. I've always said that the product of fitness is a bit broken, but there's too many people who just don't like to lift weights, and that's why we have such shitty retention, right? People are paying, that's not retention. People paying the membership is not retention. So people coming to the club and actually doing the exercise, and I think gamification, rewarding people, adding a competition element, those are things that gonna help drive that. Connected training feeds into this. You can't gamify what you can't measure, right? So we're working on connecting the strength equipment to the gym, making a visualization, being able to track what people are doing, and the same with cardio. So that's great. Tracking heart rate, rewarding with points. Those are all things I think are gonna help just make the training more enjoyable. And then, as said, the move from health club to health hub is, I think, expanding to become the center around a person's health. And we had a great speech yesterday, or the day before yesterday, at the EHFF conference about where I forgot his name. Do you know it?
I can't remember.
No, but it was a Dutch professor, I believe, and he said he was expecting health centers to kind of come into clubs, and I truly believe this. And also here, obviously, technology is going to play a big role. And then finally, then I'm gonna give the word back. Sorry if I'm taking too long. Yeah, the hybrid model. I mean, since COVID, obviously this was really a hot point. Now nobody's talking about it anymore. But I believe that as a club, and as part of also being in a health hub, you want to support your member anywhere, also outside the four walls of your facility. So what I see, the research shown from Europe Active and Deloitte, that most people, they combine fitness with something else. Why can't as a club, you can provide at-home training. Why not provide a Peloton-like experience? And these are things that we are working on to basically empower our club clients to come up with these additional experiences as well.
Thank you, Hugo. Now on to Henrik. I believe you also have prime time at home, right? Technology-driven gym operations. Henrik, at Primetime Fitness, you focus on high-quality, member-centric fitness experiences. My daughter was a member of Primetime Fitness as well. How do you see technology enhancing gym operations without losing the premium personal touch?
Yeah, thank you, Hans. First of all, his daughter didn't leave because she didn't like it. She moved away from Munich. That's first because we are talking about attrition and retention. So, yeah, I think how we combine technology with premium. And you know, a lot of people of you have an Apple iPhone, you know, and Apple is premium. Did you ever talk to somebody at Apple? Probably not.
This is a Samsung.
Oh, sorry. I take Bryan's Apple, but if it's a Samsung, don't mind.
Premium.
That was a good one. That was a good one.
They copy it.
That was a guy, you know, with his Coca-Cola and he was drinking the Pepsi, you know, the whole thing, yeah. And what I wanted to say is, I think premium and how many people you employ and how much service is done by human beings is not the thing we need to connect. It is exactly, I think technology can do a wonderful premium service. We know it with the apps, with the check-ins, with the booking of classes, with the booking of seats at airlines, all those things we see what premium service, apps and digitization can do. And Hugo partly answered as well my question, because I think we are all here in line, the trainers, the know-how, all these things, the digitization will empower the trainers and their know-how. Of course, they have to be very careful, because in the past we have a lot of personal trainers. They could tell their customers whatever they want, because the customers didn't know it better. Today, it's different. So they're coming to more into the coaching role, you know, and about the motivation. And honestly, I don't believe that some of these digitized instruments really give us motivation, give us coaching, give us, you know, being social. You know, I think this is really by a human being. We are here on a FIBO conference. We knew through COVID it was not possible to attend the conference. I don't know how many of you used the virtual FIBO conference. I would say it was much lower. We still come here together. We're sitting here like hundreds and thousands of years ago, you know, when people are listening to somebody talking. That didn't change. But of course the way we checked in, we did all that today, of course, changed. And I see a lot of potential as well here in the FIBO. I don't want to reorganize the convention, but I think there's a lot of people here working in, let's say, minor, some kind of jobs which will be automized. But then we have to really push and excel in qualification, that we are really a coach, that we as trainers or as staff at the clubs, we really add value, and that's really important. So it's a hybrid game. You have to use the technology, but you have to have a very high qualified and motivating staff, because motivation is that the people don't quit gyms because they think it's useless. They just didn't make it, you know, and therefore we have to motivate them.
Thank you, Henrik. And now to the Oracle, Bryan. The topic, data, ethics, and privacy. With AI-driven platforms collecting vast amounts of user data, How can the industry balance innovation with ethical considerations and data privacy concerns, Bryan?
This is a big question, and it's pretty profound in its implications. I'd ask you this question: how many of you using software have read the ULA, the User License Agreement? I suggest you take whatever software provider you're using, feed it to your ChatGPT, and ask it, what the hell does this actually mean? Because your devices in your hands are all being used for nefarious purposes right now as we sit here. And let me tell you why this is very relevant. For all the benefits of technology, it has also created a great divide amongst people and businesses with their customers, institutions with their members and participants. And it's about trust. The most valuable commodity in the world, and increasingly the most valuable commodity in the world, is trust. When you're engaging with anyone, you're using a device, or you're participating in any business or organization, what the real relationship is between you and your user or customer or member comes down to trust. Can I trust you? That's what ethics are about. And the fact that nobody raised their hand when it came to my question of who has read your user license agreement tells you you don't really know what the fuck is going on with the data you're relying on. Okay? And this is going to become more and more apparent to people as technologies through AI and other devices and things begins doing things that you don't understand at all. So how do you deal in a world like this where a competitive advantage is going to be helping people understand what you're really doing and thereby earning their respect and trust? Because if I'm faking you out, telling you one thing and doing another, and at some point you understand what that is, you're never going to buy from me again. In fact, you're going to hate my guts and tell everyone else you should. This is very important. So there's three dynamics. Obviously, trust. And you must disclose to people and help educate them when it comes to the use of technology and data, what you're doing with that. And you need to do it in a way that people can understand. That's why no one reads those user license agreements, because they're written by lawyers for a reason. Okay? They're written by lawyers to protect the companies from the liability that they could accrue and create by their abuse of their users. Okay, and this is very important. So companies that can help simply understand what they're doing with the data for the people to understand that in plain language is going to become more and more powerful in creating trust. Okay, so that's one aspect of this. Another obviously is regulatory compliance. You know, what GDPR is, what the California acts are, what other legislation is coming up, because frankly, in the United States and in Europe, big tech is abusing the hell out of everybody in this room, and there's so much money involved that the governments aren't being helpful at all in adopting more regulatory control of big technology. So you have to be mindful of these laws so that you don't innocently create liability for your business. And people are still doing that until they get caught and they get in trouble. So you have to be mindful of that. And then finally, cybersecurity. And it's not just using it as a term. You need to proactively teach your organization the pitfalls of becoming a victim to cyber attacks, which are increasingly getting more and more sophisticated. And the implications are your member data is, you're the fiduciary of that data. And there are nefarious characters out there hunting for opportunities to take what you know and use it as a sledgehammer on you and the people you serve. So these are the three things. And one last note, I want to thank everyone for being here. I think it's awesome that all of you come and listen to these experts. And I want to tell you what a great show we're having, right? Fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you, Bryan. Now back to Magdalena. The future of hybrid fitness models, something Hugo had mentioned. With a growing number of consumers demanding both in-person and digital experiences, how should traditional gym operators adapt to the rise of hybrid fitness models?
I'm surprised what Hugo is saying, that no one is talking about the hybrid models, because we are with our team talking it all over the time.
Okay, good.
So that's why, because creating that ecosystem with the omni-channel products push us to say that we are also having the offline product, we are having online product, but also using outdoors and training at home. So this is omni-channel, environment. But what I would like to say, first, you need to for sure cover the base into your clubs, because I told you before about the shift of the trainers to coaching, motivation, building the habits. And I think that people are searching for that motivation into our clubs, and also the sense of community. Yes, so that's why we have a lot of people who group trainings or in-person personal trainings. So that's why they need to human touch of our staff, but we need to do it properly and deliver the value proposition connecting to their needs. But about digital platforms, I think they are powerful tools. That's why we are developing our own app, because it's educate users, lower the entry barriers, and support our customers in the journey into the club, but also in any different environment. Yeah, we saw on the Europe Active report, because the numbers are changing every single year, but still there's a trend that people are combining their activity. So they are training in app-based training plans, they're training outdoors, and they are training into the clubs. So the number with the mix is increasing every single year. So that's why we need to be prepared for that as operator. And I think that it's a good start, no matter what the point our customers are. Yeah, we need to deliver the quality product support and day whenever they would like to start. So it's not bad when they are starting online, because it's given them a courage to get into the club. So we are treating it that way. Yeah, so. And the most important thing about it is that we need to be our own rhythm. So that's why it's our communication platform, that we are saying that move whatever you would like to do. Yes, so that's why we are saying that if you would like to use the AI, use training outside in home. If we think about it, how we could increase the penetration rate in Poland, we need to deliver the service in the different environments. So that's, I guess, is the key point of it.
Thank you, Magdalena. Hugo, you're up next, so I'm going to ask the question, and you can add it at the beginning of your answer.
Yeah.
Many fitness clubs struggle with keeping members engaged long term. How can AI-driven insights and predictive analytics help gyms improve member retention and experience?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I had a question for Magdalena actually on the around.
Okay.
First of all, great to hear that you are so much focusing on this hybrid experience. Do you think the fact that benefits in fact also an aggregator, right? Does that play a role? I think that you are like more ahead in this.
Yeah, because we create an environment in different ways. So I could say from our perspective that that we are having the clubs and the multi-sport card users are going to the clubs, because of course every tool which could increase the market and people start to be more active, I guess is the amazing tool.
Yeah, great. I agree. I think you're ahead in that sense to what I'm seeing at many other clubs. They're really still a lot focused on the new machine in the club.
Yeah.
So, getting back to the question of how technology can help retain members, I think there's a couple of things. On the one side, obviously, technology brings in data, right? And you can imagine if you have a lot of data about your club, access control, your clients, we have apps that people will use to track what they're eating. They stand on the scale every day. Tons of data, and it allows us to actually analyze it and create a predictive model based on it. Because if you use the data over time and you compare it with the retention. So you're actually looking at when members are joining, when they're staying at the club, and when they're leaving, and you're mapping that together with all the other data that you have, you can start identifying patterns. And based on those patterns, you can create a predictive model that basically means, just very simplified, hey, if Michael goes from working out 4 days per week to do 2 days per week, and then to 1 day per week, and then he stops, if Cynthia is showing the exact same pattern, there's a chance that she's also gonna stop training at your gym, right? This is very simplified, but now imagine you have that data point and a million others, right? Then suddenly this prediction becomes extremely accurate. In fact, we did this in a pilot experiment with one of our customers. So we made a full analysis of the data set, and we were able to predict with 84% accuracy whether or not any member in the club at that time was going to leave the facility the next month. And that's I was pretty impressed by that. So that kind of shows that people are creatures of habit and quite similar in that sense. To me it was surprising. We haven't been able to roll it out across all our customer base. Why? Because every gym is different. Every demographic that they operate with, their services. So you need to do like this whole big data analysis per club to get the same level of outcome. So we now use a more simplified version with like key things in the app and have visits, etc., which is not as effective, but it at least paints a picture. So that's one thing where I see it can be a big impact. Then secondly, I talked already about improving the training experience. And I think this is something that is still in its infancies, because ultimately the way people work out at the gym hasn't really changed in the last 30, 40 years. People are still running on a treadmill like a hamster, right? And in most cases they're just trying to, how do you say, afleiden, just try to get their attention away from the exercise by watching Netflix or listening to music. And I think there's a really untapped potential in creating an intrinsic motivation in the activity itself. I always use the example like ball sports. If you're playing football or hockey, or tennis, you're playing a game and you're so excited to kind of get that ball, and you're not thinking about, oh, I have to do 10 more steps or 3 more minutes, because you're in the competition, it's social. And I think the great thing about fitness fits our current day lifestyle. It's flexible, we can do it anytime, but we're missing the social part, we're missing the gamification part, and technology can really help bring this back. So I truly believe that this can help fix the broken product of fitness. One example, probably you all know, we had the virtual reality platform of Meta, formerly Facebook. Their #1 game is Beat Saber. This is kind of like an exercise game where on the beat of the music you just punch things away, and it's burning calories like crazy. And those people are doing this as entertainment while having great exercise. And I think that's a perfect example of how we should look at how can we improve the training experiences in our clubs. And there's been many initiatives. It's not getting the success so far. So I'm not 100% there yet. Why? But I think it also has to do with the fact that the industry is not trying hard enough to make it work. So, yeah.
Thank you. I think the word you were looking for was distraction.
Yes, distraction, of course. I was distracted.
Great. Yeah. Thank you. Henrik, personalization versus automation in member engagement. As AI personalizes workouts and engagement, where should fitness businesses strike the balance between automation and human interaction to retain their brand loyalty?
Yeah, very interesting question. And I think what Hugo just said was a great example for that, because he said we can calculate the probability if somebody leaves or not. Nice. what do we do then?
Right.
Do we send him a mail? Do we phone? What do we do with that information? And that's where it is great, because everybody of you who's working in a health club, human brain is a little bit tended to do things they're used to do. You don't speak to the people you should speak. You speak to the people you like, and we all know in a club, you know, you talk to similar to you people, you know. And here, for example, the example what Hugo said is a perfect example. With AI, you just detect who you should talk to. And I now say, my way should be talk to, because that's the way I would see it. But AI gives you the what to do, or there is action to do. But then you have to decide what's the best way. Maybe AI gives you this person we should try, it's a visual person, we should give a mail, you know, it reacts to mail. To this person we should talk, you know. So I think this whole technical side gives you a lot of advice of what to do, but it's you who has to do it. And that, if the people will see in the future it's all coming out of automated stuff, they won't believe it. And then we have the question from Bryan, trust. But if you as a human being approach somebody with an information you have, honestly, they don't care where you have the information. If you go to your favorite restaurant or to your favorite hotel and they tell you, hey, hello Hans, how are you? All those things. You don't want to know if they have in the morning a database where they have all the arrivals. Maybe they have Hans is that nice Canadian guy and you know, with the glasses. So he knows, okay, that must be Hans, you know. All this information is only helpful if you do something with it. And of course the danger with all this AI automation is that we get too much information we can't handle. So I think as managers we have to really take care how we put this information in action. And there would be sometimes really small steps. And always in technology we think about big things, you know. And honestly, until Apple iPhone still the spell check is not right and you have all these funny typos, I think even they are not so far ahead with AI. So I would say keep the human touch in all these actions, and then the customers will love you and they will have it as a premium service.
Hugo?
Yeah, great. Just to kind of, I'm not sure if I agree with it, but just to give like an extreme thought, like, I think it kind of can go two ways, like, or human interaction is going to become one of the most valuable things we have left with further automation. It's going to be really special, or it's going to be something that people don't want anymore because they actually like AI talking to them, because AI is always nice. They never have a morning bad temper in the morning, and you actually see that now with Gen Z. When they're joining a club, they don't want to talk to a sales rep, even though you think he's doing an amazing job. They just want to go to your website, pay, and go into the facility and not talk to anybody with their iPhone ear plugs in.
Let's go to the bar tonight with your AI companion and have a beer.
No, but as AI gets better and it's becoming physical with robots, it may be a bit of a dystopic future, but I think there's really a chance, and I think there's now already a group of people that rather live in online virtual worlds than in the actual world because they feel better there. I think this group is going to increase. So, well, let's see what the future brings. But
We'll see. Magdalena?
Yeah, I will. Okay.
yeah.
I will try to tell more about what we see in the clubs about Gen Z. Of course, there is a part of the people, Generation Z, who are training individually with their head phones on their heads. But what we see and what we observe, there is still amount of the group that are training together. They are, combined with the group, and they are going to the free weights and they are training together. So we are seeing that both ways. So I don't agree that it's only one option for them. So it's my perspective.
It might be even the same people. One day they want to work out that way, and the other day another way.
Probably.
One last point. I think when you think about trends right now, I think we have to realize something. we don't really know what this is going to look like after about 5 years. We have no way to know. As a way of speaking about that briefly, if you don't mind, Hans, for the audience, I want you to think about the historic implications of the printing press. The printing press created the witch hunts because of the overutilization of false information. Historically, what they did as well is, in Germany, they took about 100 different languages, dialects, and forced them to consolidate into one. There are all these unintended and unforeseen consequences of the things we're participating in now that we can't even fathom what the outcomes are going to be. And as I've said for years, the future of what this industry is has not been invented yet. That is the opportunity.
Great.
Good point. And let's stay with Bryan. The give back philosophy in fitness innovation. Our panel's theme is about giving back through innovation and collaboration. How can gym operators, tech providers, and fitness professionals come together to create a stronger, more inclusive industry, Bryan?
Well, first off, we're here, right? We're together, right? That's a good place to start. You know, I've known these three gentlemen here for many, many years. I've met this brilliant woman more recently. I think, you know, first you must join the community. You want to make sure it's a credible community, though, because under the hood of different organizations, even in our industry and others, their motivation is maybe promotional or involving other pursuits that aren't so, you know, genuine in their intention of helping people outside of benefiting themselves. So I think first is joining communities. And the good thing about this space, and having traveled the world for many years talking about trends and technology, is there is a community of very kind and giving, open-minded people. So you need to find what communities those are that you can trust and get involved with those. That's what the Fitness Industry Technology Council is about. You know, we don't charge people a lot of money. We don't use it for nefarious purposes. We create podcasts, we interview people, we create reports, we do that kind of thing. And we work with organizations, you know, like FIBO and these events. And you know, Vincenzo, who helped us put this on, my dear friend. You know, and there are so many others in this room that I know, and many outside. They don't do this because they're trying to get anything out of it. They do this to try to learn and understand, and their philosophy is to be helpful and give back. So you join the right communities. I think another thing is, you know, connecting to the right influencers to consume the right kind of educational content. And so as part of those communities, make sure you're listening to those podcasts, following those content creators to learn more and get a part of those communities actively. I think that's really important. Two other points is do. Be a practitioner. There's a difference between you know, talking about and theorizing about those things. It's another thing to do them, because that's how you obtain profound knowledge and perspective and context. The downside of having unending amounts of information is it's very hard to discern what's quality over quantity. So one of the ways to discern that is by doing. Because when you do, even though you don't understand, it forces you to understand and learn. And that makes you a better contributor to a community because you have even more perspective and you're more discerning. And then finally, of course, share. To the extent that you're a part of that, you become a practitioner, you're part of communities, you're discerning who are the credible followers to get education from, then it is your responsibility to share your experiences. Whatever they are. Everyone has a voice. Driving innovation is about driving your voice and experience for the community to benefit from. And so those are my thoughts on it.
Thank you, Bryan. So, Magdalena, talking about the industry call to action, when you're as big as you are in Poland, you have an obligation. you have a responsibility. If you could challenge fitness and wellness leaders to embrace a new mindset towards technology and innovation, what would be your key message to them?
Okay, so first of all, you need to cover the basics into your clubs, yeah? So that's why you need to deliver the quality service into your clubs. And first of all, you need to think what is the value proposition to your customers and what side of the customer journey you would like to provide. Do it include digital or not? We decided that we include the digital and this that type of omnichannel platform, yeah? Second thing, that if you decided to evolve the digital platform, probably you think that it should become a hub, the loyalty engine, the service center, the first touch point of your brand. Yes, so that's why you could start from now using that suppliers who are here, but first you need to think how you would like the customer journey look like. And the third thing is that you need to educate your staff, educate your team members, especially with AI, because if you don't do this, probably you pull them away. So they need to be ready to and understand why they're using and they want to use it.
Thank you. Back to Henrik. Interoperability and the connected fitness ecosystem. With digital fitness, smart equipment, and wearables becoming mainstream, how can the industry work together to create a more connected and seamless user experience?
I think there, of all the operators sitting here, I think it is very important that all the devices we have, they are some kind of connected. I think there's different platforms out there. I can only tell you what we do. You know, I don't want to say it's the right thing or the best thing or whatever it is, only my opinion. We, for example, decided a couple of years for the Oddział ecosystem, you know, because we think it's a very open system. There we connected, of course, the in-body, you know, all our devices we have, including now what is not included now is the My Zone. Hopefully that will be included soon. Because I think it's very important that if you collect, and that we said before, we collect so much data, but what do you do with the data, you know? And still with us, a lot of the data we collect is in silos, you know, and it's not used properly. So we are moving step to step, and what I saw here at FIBO, at the booths as well, is a really a big jump in the right direction of connectability, because there's no software, if you ask it for you, which is not some kind of connection to others. Because I think a couple of years ago everybody say use the Virtuagym app, use the Magic Line app, or use this one. And today it's much more connected, you know, and it's much more exchange, and that's the right way, because there is not the company who develops that stuff is in the focus, it's the customer, you know, and I think that we have to think, what do all this technology bring to the customer? And of course, there we come back to the trainers, you know, the trainers have to give advice, and they have to, without connected information, you know, then I can't imagine that the trainer, before he plans a workout, does 10 minutes of preparation of all the data he has connected. It has to be there. And I think here at FIBO, I'm very convinced, as Bryan said, the future, we can't say what is in 5 years, but honestly, in the past years, how it's developed, it's going absolutely the right way. And 100% I'm convinced.
Let me pipe in here. I agree with the importance of interoperability, but it's a cautionary tale. Because, as I mentioned before, when it comes to ethics, that interconnectability, you have to get to the intention. So when you look at things from certain providers, not just in this industry, who are creating walled gardens, and that is, they are confining the information within their control, they may make it appear that there's interoperability, but if you read the user license agreement, certain players in that ecosystem are owning the data and using it for its different purposes. So I think you really have to get to the intent of it, and also you have to understand from a competitive perspective, There are players in our industry and others that will tell you they're helping you, but they're really picking your pocket. You don't even know it. There's a direct bearing on your business model and profitability that the vast number of operators don't even think about. That's why I encourage you to read your user license agreements and understand what the competitive position is of certain technology companies. Because there are people in this room or this building that have an intention that they're not being upfront about. And that is to use your information to enrich themselves. And you don't even know it's happening. So this is why ethics interoperability from a user experience perspective is important, but you better know who you're in bed with. Because one day you're gonna wake up and go, what the hell happened to my revenue? Giannis wrote a book, Techno-Feudalism. And what he talks about in that realm is how platforms are really imposing rents on platforms once there's enough connectability in those ecosystems to create value, but then they're extracting value. Look at what Amazon has done to its partners over the last decade. They are extracting more and more and more money out of advertising and resale value. And so now vendors are going, should I even be selling my product there? So just cautionary tale. Right now it's not as big of an issue, but believe me, it's going to become a bigger issue.
Great, thank you, Bryan. Hugo, you have the last question, or you can answer AI's role in corporate wellness and longevity. Longevity, one of the buzzwords right now. Many companies are investing in corporate wellness programs to boost employee health and productivity. How can AI and fitness tech better serve corporate wellness initiatives?
Yeah, so I think ultimately technology as a whole is going to, I think, lead to a unification of health ecosystems. And what you're seeing right now in the corporate market is an increasing role for the employer in the individual's health, due to trends like the workforce getting older, less people available, so employers are competing, but also the fact that the increasing rise of healthcare costs are ultimately going to make it impossible to carry healthcare for us as a society if we don't invest in prevention, and so that's a growing trend. And I think there's a big opportunity for the fitness industry to also be part of that ecosystem. I think right now gyms they don't have the trust to be a player in the health ecosystem. So what you see that the corporate market often works with dedicated parties servicing the employees on health services. And I think with technology, what we can do is two things. We can make sure that we start protocolizing things, so we can basically ensure the same predictable outcomes, right? Because a big issue is the trust. If you don't know what type of coaching someone's going to get in your gym, I as a doctor am not going to send my diabetes patient to the gym around the corner. I'm going to send him to the physiotherapist, right? So protocolization, I think, is an important part. And secondly, which is part on being able to prove ROI, is technology can retrieve the data and actually show, hey, this person is actually getting off their diabetes insulin medication, they're losing 20 pounds, and that ultimately leads to a benefit for the healthcare provider. And then what you get is that ultimately the employer and the health insurance and the government are going to see the true value that our industry is bringing to individual health and well-being, and they're going to contribute to the cause. So I think there's a huge opportunity where, and this is technology that's going to enable that.
Thank you, Hugo. We have maybe 1 or 2 minutes if someone has a question from the audience. Does anyone have a question for any of the panelists?
Thank you. I have a question to the fitness studio owners. and maybe Bryan, answering your, we don't know what will be in 5 years. Imagine you could solve the problem of the motivation of the gym goers. How much value would that have for you if such a technology would exist, which actually it does?
Okay, thank you. Yeah, that would be an incredible value, of course, you know, if you could manage that. I am with Bryan, you know, we don't know what the next 5 years go, and we know exactly in AI, you know, those things are, you know, the knowledge goes like this. On the other hand, you know, human behavior is, since many decades or centuries, a little bit the same, you know, so I wouldn't trust too much that we solve that, the motivational issue in the next 5 years, because the motivational issue is more a question of where we come from as human being, you know, and not a technology question. But I think what is very good, and all this longevity discussion and everything, that I think we are more conscious about healthcare. You know, I'm a teacher at the German university, and I say, tell the students always, listen, if you lived in the 40s or 60s, you know, imagine in the 40s they haven't had rockets. In the 60s they had rockets, and Kennedy says by the end of the century we'll go to the moon, and that was so far beyond, you know, at that time. And then I think the last man on the moon was something like 75, and since then nothing happened anymore. So only want to say here, I wouldn't think that the next 5 years in motivating members so much will change. I think because it's a human behavior, and I think we will get more knowledge. But if we could do it, we have to be careful, listen to these discussions, and be right on the spot when it happens.
Let me interject. The problem of motivation will be solved, and it's going to be solved sooner than people think. And it's not going to be done through our industry. It's going to be done to the emergence of biotechnologies and other industries. You're already seeing that happen now. Now, the prediction of when that becomes mainstream and at what cost, that's another entirely different discussion. There are plenty of examples of technologies in biology. I mean, GLP-1s are all the rage, but as you know, there are consequences that are starting to be measured regarding people's obsession with alcohol consumption and other things. We're just scratching the surface. And I think that, you know, when you look at what problem are you trying to solve, I don't think it's going to be appropriate for us to solve that problem in our existing realm of delivery of service today. I think that to the extent motivation is tapped, obviously rising tides will lift all boats. You know, and in that result, people will be motivated and they will want to experience fitness and health in many ways, and they'll be growing the market. I am absolutely certain that the issue of motivation will largely be solved in the next decade.
Thank you. Magdalena, the last word on that topic?
I think that's not only on the motivation, but building a discipline, because as well as we see, what is the most important, that people have a high motivations, and then this, after a couple of the trains, they decrease. So what's the main issue for sure, and technology could support that, and also coaching by motivation, building habits by the trainers, building discipline and creating habits, because the main issue, I guess.
Thank you, Magdalena. It would be great to have more time, but we have run out of time. I would like to thank, on behalf of everybody, the great panel and their energy and their answers. Thank you, Vincenzo, for putting
Thank you, Vincenzo. Thank you, Vincenzo. Hey, y'all want to get up on stage with us? We'll take a huge selfie with everyone here if you like. I mean, we could do that. But thank everybody for being here. It was awesome. Thank you, man. Hello, listeners. This is Bryan O'Rourke, and thanks so much for listening to the Fitness Plus Technology Podcast. The podcast is made possible by the Fitness Industry Technology Council, a consortium of global brands working together to enhance the adoption of technologies in the fitness space. Our company, Vedere Ventures, which is invested in Vertimax, Montezuma, Gold's Gym, Houston, Texas, and Fitness 24/7 Thailand, also underwrites the podcast, along with our service companies, Integris Advisors, Moon Mission Media, and others. Please feel free to share this podcast with your colleagues. And if I can be of any assistance to you, don't hesitate to reach out, bryank@gmail.com, or find me on any of the major social networks. Have a great day, and thanks for listening.